This is a video to grade and give feedback on Lesson 13 homework. So we'll be starting with the exit ticket question. This exit ticket had quite a few different parts to it that you needed to answer. So I color-coded in Roy G. Biv, red, pink, orange, yellow, the order of which you should have answered these so you could see all the different parts. So the first thing it said to do was to complete the table. So to complete the table, I saw that there was a relationship of times 4, so times 4, so this is 1/4, or divide by 4 times 4. So if you have 8, 3, 4, and 20, it is plus 1. You have to have all 4 of those numbers correct to get this point here. Next, it said write the ratio that describes the number of nails to the number of shelves. So nails to shelves needs to be in a ratio that looks like this. I guess you could do the other form that is like this as well. So if you did that, plus 1. Next, it says write as many different equations as you can that shows the relationship between the two quantities. So one of the equations would be showing how we get nails. How you get nails is to do 4 times s. And it could really be written this way, or it could be written this way. Equations are commutative, so it doesn't matter if the n is on this side of the equal sign or on this side of the equal sign. These two things would mean the same. Some of you might know that once we get into algebra and are using letters, we no longer use multiplication signs, so you might have used a dot, or this level, or this notation, which is called juxtaposition. When you put a coefficient and a variable side by side, it means that we need to multiply. And we'll get to this part, and eventually this will be the required notation for multiplication equation. So I just kind of want to expose you to it right now. So if you had one of these in here, or you said something like 4 times s equals nails, that's worth 1 point. The other equation would be, how did we get the number of shelves? How do we go from nails to equal our shelves? So that one would be either s, shelves, is equal to n divided by 4. And again, you could have the n divided by 4 on this side of the equation and the s on that side of the equation. It doesn't matter. You could have also written it as this, s equals n divided by 4. That's another notation for division. The one that I would prefer and that I like the best is this one, where you use the the value of the ratio to say that shelves are 1/4 of the nails. So what part of that group? They're 1/4 of that group. So you could also, that's written juxtaposition, or you could say shelves are equal to 1/4 times n. So again, if you have one of those, that's worth a point. Moving on to the back and our problem set, we had a problem about sugar. So if you have these values here, and again, you need to have all of these values correct in order to get the plus 1. If you did 1 cup and then 3 cups, 5, like if you did different values here, but they have a ratio of 1 to 3, so if you take this number and times it by 3 and you get your other number, that's okay. That could be a plus 1. For number 1, it said the value of the ratio. Immediately, you should think about fractions in lowest terms, and it was comparing white sugar to brown sugar. So white to brown would be a value of 1/3. Then it says write an equation that shows the relationship of the amount of white sugar to the amount of brown sugar, and you could have written 1/3 of a group of white equals the brown. Nope, that's not right. 1/3 of the brown. Sorry about that. 1/3 of this number, or a part of this number, is the same as W. So that should be 1/3 of brown. This should be 1/3 times B. That's again just a different way to notate that, using juxtaposition or using the multiplication sign. You could also say that if you took your brown sugar and divided it by 3, you would get your white sugar. So brown divided by 3 equals W. And then over here, 3 times W, or 3W, is equal to your brown sugar. So if you had one of these ways These are all the ways we could write, not all of them, these are some of the ways we could write that relationship that shows that relationship. So +1 if you had one of these notations. Number 3 and 4, we're not going to take points on those because those are always kind of tricky to explain, and we're just working on that process right now, so I don't want to punish you for not being able to do it correctly. So when it says explain how the value of the ratio can be seen in the table, I simply talk about, well, the value of the ratio is the ratio written as a fraction in simplest form, the first row of the table in this case. So I can see that relationship right here because this is the smallest that ratio can get to. And number 4, it says explain how the value of the ratio can be seen in the equation. This is what the whole lesson was about. They wanted you to make the connection that the value of the ratio is that multiplicative comparison. So that 1/3 of the white, that value there, 1/3 of brown sugar is white sugar because that's the value of white sugar. It's 1/3 of the brown. So that's our value. So if I want to find white, I need to take 1/3 of the brown to get the white. So again, no points for those. Just want to kind of show you how to explain and what the thinking is there so that eventually we can take some points on that. On the back, hopefully you understood when it said white sugar to total sugars that you were combining the brown and the white sugar together. That could have been confusing for some of you. So hopefully if you did that, you knew it was 1 to 4 cups because if I had 1 cup of white here, I have 3 cups of brown, so together I have a total of 4. If I have 2 cups of white, then I had 6 cups of brown. Together I had 8 cups. So that's that 8. So it's that this is a part to part of the sugars in the recipe. This is comparing the white sugar to the whole, so part to whole. So then we have 3 to 12, 4 to 16, and 5 to 20. So if you figure that out and you have all of those correct, +1. Then the value of the ratio of the amount of total sugar to the amount of white sugar, that would be 4 to 1, 4 over 1, or you could have simplified it to just 4. And then it says write an equation. Anytime you see equation, you know you have to include an equal sign. And that's how can we show the total sugar compared to white sugar? Well, the total sugar is equal to 4 groups of the white. Or you could write it using juxtaposition, side by side. Total sugar equals 4 groups of the white. You could have also done it the other way and shown that 1/4 of the total sugar equals the white, or the total sugar divided by 4 equals the white. So again, you just need one of these. If you had one of these, and these orders don't matter, it's commutative, and these orders don't matter. If you had 4 times W over here and T over here, that's the same thing, you get a point. There should have been 10 total points here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Sorry, 4, 5, 6. And then 7, 8, 9, 10. So tell me how many you got correct out of 10. And please put it on this page so that I don't have to flip through the whole packets. So put it on this page, how many you got correct out of 10, and then tell me if you're at an M, P, or E. When you turn this paper into your teacher, please make sure that your name and number is at the top of this page. So again, I can look at this page quickly and see what your score was and your notation there. All right, now go to the next step in your directions.